my fellow book addicts, Megan here, and time for another book review. Today, I'm going to be talking about The Burning Bridge by John Flanagan, and this is book 2 in the Ranger's Apprentice series. Basically, we start things off with Will and Halt tracking down this small little team of wargles, which came over the mountains. And in short, these wargles kind of led them to these battle plans of Moragath's. I still don't know if I'm saying his name right, but I'm gonna roll with it. These plans depict how Moragath is supposedly going to invade. So in theory, these plans could mean the difference between victory and defeat. So of course, Halt, being the good ranger that he is, quickly turns these plans over to the king. And poor Will, during this encounter with the wargles, he really gets shaken up. He feels that he has failed because he froze up when this wargle was charging right at him. He missed not once but twice with his arrows. And he quite possibly might have been killed if it weren't for Tug, his horse, and Halt. So this shook Will up so much. Especially since, he took down one of the Kulkara in the last book. So he feels like he shouldn't be fazed by this kind of stuff. And to remind you guys, Will's only like 15, 16 years old. So having this huge monstrous thing charging right at you, it's gonna freak you out. As a 24-year-old, that would totally freak me out. So Will is beating himself up over that. And Halt kind of wants to do something to help Will get his spark back. Halt even said, you're still a kid, and there's a huge difference between killing an enemy that isn't even looking your way, that's several yards away, than an enemy that is charging straight at you. He also points out that Will didn't freeze up. He managed to get a second shot. Even though he did rush that second shot, he managed to keep enough control and composure to at least try a second time. And thankfully for Will, Halt actually has a way to make Will feel important again. Apparently, the king is trying to amass an army so they can fight Moragath, and he needs someone to go up to one of the neighboring countries of, I believe it's pronounced Kelsia, to remind the king up there, because of a treaty, he needs to help supply some men for his army. The one pretty much leading the mission is going to be Gillen, since he is the youngest full-fledged ranger, and therefore is kind of the least experienced, so he can be spared in these battle plans. And because Kelsia has this little superstition, they need to send a total of 3 people up there. So it's decided Will should go up there too, get a little experience, get away, try and get his little spark back, and get a chance to be around someone closer to his own age. And the third person they end up sending is Horse. So this whole book is basically this trio's little adventure going up to Kelsia, and the craziness that ensues. So I thought this was a really good continuation of the series. I find myself growing even more fond of the characters, and I love being able to see more of this world too. Just because of some of the things that were said in this book, I can't help but picturing this continent as Europe, a medievalish version of Europe. I don't know if that's what John Flanagan plans, but that's kind of what's in my mind right now. But yeah, I love how this book is done. We got plenty of our awesome little trio, which I love, by the way. I love the interactions between them. I love how all their personalities kind of meshed and worked together. I like how we also get to see what Halt is up to in between, chapters between our trio and Halt. And just how grouchy he gets for sending Will away. He seems to have grown so used to having this little ray of sunshine in his life. And he sent him away. And now he's beating himself up over it. So there's not much more I can add without giving spoilers. So if you have not gotten this far in the series yet, I suggest you click away now and come back after you catch up. So it doesn't take long for us as readers and our wonderful trio to realize there's something amiss in Kelsia. Something is not right. They're stumbling across totally abandoned villages and towns and just stations, and it looks like people just up and left. It looked like people were in a hurry, and it looks like things were abandoned for a long time. And this is news to them. They haven't gotten any word that something is amiss in Kelsia, so they're pretty confused. And we actually find out that Morgath has been a very busy bad guy. Apparently teams of Wargles have been slowly infiltrating Kelsia, and they've been kidnapping men to use, as we find out later, to build a bridge, but I'll get into more detail later. And there's also bandits roaming the countryside. So Kelsia is a little bit of a mess. Most of the people who have not been captured or killed by Wargles have retreated, I believe, to the coast, where the king is kind of keeping guard over everyone with his army. Before our trio can really decide what to do, they are met with Evelyn, who we find out at the end of this book is the princess of Aleutian. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that right either. Gillen actually decides to ride ahead of their little group to inform the king, King Duncan, what is going on in Kelsia, because he needs to know. And Will, Evelyn, and Horse are going to be coming up behind him at a slower pace. But this plan is very quickly derailed, since after spotting a team of Wargles, Will decides that he wants to follow the Wargles to see what is going on, to see what the Wargles are using all these Kelsia men for. He realizes that could be very vital information for the king. And boy, was he right. Just Morgath as a villain, I greatly enjoyed. He's simplistic. He's a simple villain. But, you know, he's still pretty clever. I mean, even as a 24-year-old rereading this series, I'm just like, yeah, I'm still pretty impressed by that. Though, you know, the fact that the supposed plans that Will and Holt found were fake was kind of obvious. It was very, very, very heavily hinted at the beginning of the book. Morgath has been using the Kelsia men to build this huge bridge so that he can get his army from these really bad, hard-to-navigate mountains into Kelsia so that they can go from Kelsia into Aleutian and basically take over. And Will realizes this very well could spell doom for King Duncan's army. And the bridge is so close to being completed that he knows they won't have time to rush back home, warn the king, and have the king, you know, adjust his plans. So Will decides, you know what, let's go burn that bridge. And I gotta say, even though I knew how this whole scene played out, I was still on edge as I was reading that. The suspense still got me. So thankfully, the bridge got burned down. It is destroyed. It is going to be a huge blow against Morgath. But Will and Evelyn get captured by Scandians, and they're mercenaries for hire. Morgath is hiring them to help fight his battle. So they're like, well, this sucks, but we're taking these two as slaves now. Because so far we've got nothing out of this arrangement with Morgath. And I find that I actually did enjoy the Scandians. They were amusing, and I did like how things weren't quite black and white with them. They weren't purely the bad guys because they were fighting against the good guys. They were just doing a job that they were gonna get paid for. They did have some code of honor. They did actually protect Will and Evelyn. You know, they were trying to hide them from Morgath, because if Morgath knew what Will was, he'd be dead. Thankfully, Horse doesn't get caught, and he manages to quickly ride out, and he manages to meet Gillen and the king's men who went with him to quickly pass on the message that the plans were false, that there were lots of Scandians who were going to be fighting the battle, and that Will managed to burn this bridge and what the bridge was for, and basically catch everyone up on what's going on. And the battle, it was fast, reasonably so, as far as, written battles go. But it was intense, and oh my god, Horse taking out Morgath. Even through reading it, I was cheering. I love how he used the sword defense that Gillen taught him and Will on their travels through Kelsia. I found that really poetic, that Morgath's downfall was a trick that Horse was taught by a ranger. A former apprentice of Halt's, no less. So Horse, even though he did something very stupid, is basically a hero now. He is the one who killed this figure of terror for this country. So, since the battle's over and taken care of, Halt is frantically looking for Will, because he knows they were captured by the Scandians, and now that the battle was lost, the Scandians are going to be hightailing it out of there, taking Will and Evelyn with them. Halt's trying to get Will back and save the princess and be a big hero, and unfortunately he is too late. He doesn't manage to stop them before they get to their ship. He didn't even get to hit any of the Scandians with his arrows, and it's just, my heart was breaking. It was seriously breaking at that. And Halt is like shouting to Will, saying, "Hold on, I will find you," in the span of 2 books. I love how the relationship between Will and Halt has formed. They really have a strong father-son-esque relationship. So yeah, I am very interested to see what the next book holds. It's been so long that so many details are blurred to me. I want to see how Will and Evelyn are going to survive in Scandia, and Halt and his epic quest to get his apprentice back. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. I can't remember if I said how long it's been since I've read this, but it's been like somewhere in the range of 8 to 10 years. My math might be a little off. So it's really awesome to be able to revisit it again and just... It was a series that was near and dear to my heart back when I read it for the first time, and going back now, I see that it's still very near and dear to my heart. So yeah, that is it for this book review, and I hope to see you guys next time. Keep on reading, my fellow book addicts. Keep on reading.